Welcome into the Early Edge NFL Pick Show presented by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We have got a great show for you today. Kind of a special cast with Claudia and Will out this week. They will be back as usual next week, but let's bring everyone in. We've got RJ White, the NFL authority. We've got Danny Brasco from Brasco Bets, and we've got Super Contest winner Brady Kannon. Guys, we have a full slate starting on Christmas Day. Let's get right to it. The Cowboys going to Washington, a meaningless game, laying 6.5. But as you know, you can bet on these. There's no such thing as a meaningless game. And right now, looks like we might see Josh Johnson, 39-year-old Josh Johnson for the Commanders. The Cowboys, 3 straight losses after it looked like a promising turn and they might make the playoffs. I just think they're going to shred this Commanders defense that's given up 108 points in the last 4 games. The first meeting was 44-22. I could only look at laying the points. RJ, what are you doing with this game?
I can only look at taking the points. I mean, Dallas just doesn't have a defense that covers big numbers typically. I know they did in that first game, but they certainly did not look like that defense last week. And Josh Johnson, veteran in this league, he can move the ball. He has some weapons on that offense. If it is him at quarterback, we don't know that for sure. Mariota, I believe, was typified as day-to-day by the coach on Monday. So we'll see if it is Johnson, in fact. Even if it is him, I'd only make this line 5, so I'll take the value with the home team.
Brady?
I don't really know what to do with the side. I think you guys both make good cases either way. And it is, I believe, pending a bit on the quarterback decision. Obviously, Mariota, in my opinion at least, gives the Commanders a much better chance to be competitive in this game. They really probably, or good chance they would have won outright against the Eagles last weekend, I believe, if Mariota stays in that game. Josh Johnson, a fellow USD alum, not necessarily a classmate of mine, but the same school, played for Jim Harbaugh there for the Toreros. And, I think when this guy comes into the game for your team, it spells trouble. Like you said, Larry, from the top, a meaningless game. Both of these teams are really poor on defense. A lot of guys questionable on defense for the Cowboys, too. Quinnen Williams, overshown. Wilson, the safety, and Carson, the cornerback. I think if I'm going to play this game, I'm looking at over the total. Like you say, nothing to play for. Happy action, fun time, I think, is what we're going to get here. A lot of offense, a lot of points. I'd only look to go over the total in this one.
Danny, you like points too.
Totally agree with Brady's sentiment. And the Cowboys secondary has been awful without Deron Bland. He's on the injured reserve. Brady mentioned a number of other injury concerns. I don't trust either of these teams to get a stop, frankly. And the Cowboys, for, as much as America's team they've been, they show up on holidays. They always put up a big number on Thanksgiving. You get a Christmas Day game here. I think they show out that offense. I think they can put up 30 plus. I was looking at that Cowboys team total over 27.5. That moved over the key number of 28. So, I was leaning towards that way. But if Josh Johnson does play, it was all the way back in 2021, but he played the scores of 41-25 and 41-21. This game can go way over the total with just an offensive showing on both sides, I think.
And this next game, Lions at Vikings, has a lot of meaning for the Lions. They need to win out and have the Packers lose out to make the playoffs, so they're not dead, and they could be facing Max Brosmer instead of J.J. McCarthy. Now, Max Brosmer was a disaster in his first start at Seattle. 4 interceptions, a comically bad pick 6, but he played pretty well against the Giants. 7 of 9, had a big 21-yard completion to J.J. to kind of close that game out. And the way the Vikings defense is playing during this 3-game winning streak, I could only look at taking the points with the way the Lions are so banged up, especially along that offensive line. RJ, you agree with me?
I would lean to the points, I would think, but I like the over better at 44.5. Like you said, Brosmer looked better in the second half than he did in his start, and he has an easy matchup against a battered secondary. The Lions have been giving up points left and right, and that's why 7 of late 8 Lions games since the bye have gotten to 50 points. 4 of those have gotten to 60 points, and 2 have gotten to 70 points. So considering this game is indoors, I think this number should be higher. I think Detroit's going to score a lot of points, and I think Brosmer, if he is the quarterback again, we don't know about J.J. McCarthy's status as of Tuesday, but if it is Brosmer, I think he can get to at least 20 against this defense. So I like over 44.5 here.
Brady, you going the same way with the total or with the side?
I tend to agree with you, Larry, and the points you bring up about the Vikings taking the points here. It is, must-win situation for the Detroit Lions. They're a really good team. They're just really injured. And I think because of their ability to put points on the board, that this line is inflated a little bit, probably also because they're in a must-win situation. It's a same season revenge situation. So, everybody's used to seeing the Lions light up a scoreboard, and I think there's probably a bit too many points here. The Vikings worry me, though, with Brasmer or McCarthy. I'd probably rather have McCarthy in there, but they also are nursing a lot of injuries here. Hawkinson, Jordan Mason, Ryan Kelly, the center, with a concussion. Hargrave, Christian Darrisaw is out. So this is a tough one for me, Larry, but I would probably take the points here if you made me bet it, just because I think the line is probably inflated on Detroit.
Yeah, and Minnesota wins the first game as 9.5-point underdogs. They win outright. Danny, I think you're looking at a prop in this one.
I am, and it's in part because of that revenge spot. They're looking to play motivated here, not fully out of the playoffs, and looking to beat the Vikings, who got them last time. Well, who the Vikings did not contain was Amon-Ra St. Brown, who typically destroys this Brian Flores defense. 9 games against the Vikings, he's averaging 92 receiving yards. So I'm going to go over 78.5 for Amon-Ra St. Brown here. I think he does it again to him. You look at these teams, they played in early November, and Amon-Ra had 9 catches on 13 targets, way over this number. I think he does it once more in a spot that the Lions will be playing motivated and can get their wide receiver one over a high receiving yards total.
The final game of the night in Kansas City, not what we expected to see a few weeks ago. This is nearly a two-touchdown spread for the Broncos. They get the number 1 seed if they win out, so that's all the motivation in the world. But to me, this number is totally out of control. Even though the Chiefs are going with Chris Oladokun, the third stringer, he wasn't bad. 11 of 16, 111 yards. He can move around. And the Chiefs defense, they still have some pride. This is a division game. I think this is way too many points. RJ, what do you think?
Yeah, Denver's not a team by wins this much. Just 2 of their wins all year were by more than 1 score. They like to play down to competition. I cannot get that Jets game out of my head ever when I think about, why is Denver going to run up the score against a defense that isn't playing well? And last week we knew going in, definite flat spot for the Chiefs. I almost made the Titans my best bet on this program. Now they're embarrassed. They should show up at home, especially defensively, against a rival. I think that Oladokun can get it done here. 13 is way too many. Imagine if you're in Survivor, though, and you save the Chiefs this long thinking that you're going to use them on the standalone slate, and all these quarterback injuries happen. You're like, well, can I really use them plus 13 now? So I would use them plus 13 in ATS, but to win, it's going to be questionable here.
RJ, I would give anything to be one of 10 left in Circa Survivor playing for $18 million at this point, no matter who I had left for the Christmas slate. Brady, what are you doing with this game?
I'd be on the Chiefs as well. Larry, you and I spoke last week, and I thought the Chiefs would show up with competitive pride against the Tennessee Titans. Didn't really work out. I got burned by multiple quarterback injuries last week, too. Is Gardner Minshew going to lead that team to the victory? I don't know. But does Tennessee win in a rout if it's Oladokun there, the third stringer for the Kansas City Chiefs? And I agree with you guys. I'll go back to the well and ride this narrative that they are going to show up and have some competitive pride. RJ says it. Nobody likes to be embarrassed. And it's just too many points. It's also a really tough spot for the Denver Broncos. While I think that loss was good for them, a nice wake-up call, a little check before they head into the postseason, they've also got the Chargers on deck. And they know that this Chiefs team right now is absolutely a wounded animal. And I don't know if they're looking ahead, but it's not the same Kansas City Chiefs game here. And the Chargers game next week is certainly more important. So, yeah, too many points here. I'd hold my nose and take the 13 with KC.
Danny, you going to ride with the dog like the rest of us?
Absolutely disgusting, but Chiefs are nothing, I think. I'm seeing some 13.5s pop up. The market couldn't be lower on Kansas City, so maybe you wait and you get a 14. Unlikely, as that's obviously a huge number. But I think they can do enough to hang around. RJ remembers the Jets game he can't get out of his mind. Please erase that primetime 10-7 Raiders win out of my mind. I mean, this Broncos team, like he said, has played down to competition. Oladokun, still not sure how to say it, but I think he can cover a big number. The Chiefs team total sitting at 11.5. If they can put up 12, 13 points, I think they can cover this with the total sitting at 36.5. So simple betting math, low total, I'll take a lot of points.
And when we come back, we have two very good games on Saturday: Texans, Chargers, Ravens, Packers, plus the entire Sunday slate. We'll get to it next on CBS Sports Network. Two of the hottest teams in the NFL will clash on Saturday at 4:30 Eastern. The Texans have won 7 straight. The Chargers have won 4 and 7 of their last 8. And the market seems to like the Chargers in this one. Look ahead, 1.5. We're seeing 2s, now some 2.5s in the market. Could have to do with the Texans having both offensive tackles leave that game against the Raiders with injury, and also how bad they looked offensively. I'm just so impressed with Jesse Minter. The way they shut out the Cowboys in the second half after giving up 17 in the first half. The Chargers have already clinched a playoff spot. The Texans are not there yet. I'm going to lean with the Chargers, laying the small number. RJ, what are you doing?
I like the Texans here. I almost had them in a teaser. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and so I like teasing them with a team like the Titans. But the more I looked at it, I think they're going to win this game. They're a favorite on the look-ahead, actually. I believe they were 1.5-point favorites. You did mention the injuries. I think this is all about the Houston edge rushers. They need to show up here against these replacement offensive tackles for the Chargers, and I think they will, and keep the scoring down. Herbert could do whatever he wanted against Dallas last week, and I don't think that's going to be the case here. Chargers defense is playing well, so I do expect points to be at a premium. If you can get the plus 2.5, I think Houston could also lose outright and still cover the 2.5. It could be a 1-2 point game either way. So I like catching 2.5 with either team at this point. Really, it's going to be a tight game.
Danny, you like the Texans as well?
Yeah, I think this might be my favorite bet of the week. Texans on the money line at plus 115. I like the plus 2.5. Like RJ mentioned, also really like that teaser look. And I'm betting on the best defense in the league here. I agree. I think that performance against the Cowboys was fool's gold. They're almost dead last in defensive pass DVOA. Anyone can get off on this Cowboys defense. Now you see Derek Stingley, and that offensive line is going to go up against Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. I mean, we know how bad they've been without Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, but now the backups are banged up. Jamari Slayer with an injury designation, questionable for this game. Trey Pipkins has been out of this game as well. Some backup guards on IR. They really have no one back there. So if the pass rush is getting home, I think you could see that Los Angeles offense really collapse. And yes, we're getting a good price on the Texans because they looked ugly against the Raiders last week. But this team has found ways to win. They're beating good teams on this win stretch, like the Chiefs, like the Bills, like the Jaguars. And I think they show out in an important spot. Like you mentioned, still playing for the playoffs. They're not they haven't secured their berth yet. So I think the Texans show out big time on the defensive side of the ball and win this game.
Brady, does Justin Herbert even need an offensive line? I mean, what he is doing is simply incredible. What do you think about this one?
Well, I think Danny nailed it, but you're right. Herbert, I love watching this kid, one of my favorite players in the NFL these days. And, Jim Harbaugh and Herbert continue to find ways. Now, he feels a tremendous amount of pressure, and he gets hit more than any quarterback in the NFL. Not necessarily sacked. He's able to avoid that, elude some pass rush with his great legs and mobility. But yeah, he is under siege at all times. And like Danny points out, against this pass rush, it's going to be very difficult. And Trey Pipkins, another offensive lineman that you mentioned, Danny, he is questionable for this game. Kamani Vidal, the running back, there with Hampton, he is banged up. He's questionable for this game. The Chargers have some issues. And I talked about the scheduling spot for the Denver Broncos, playing a beaten and battered Kansas City Chiefs team with the Chargers on deck. Well, here are the Chargers. They go out to Dallas, come back home to host Houston, and then next week they face Denver in the Mile High City. So I think this is a tough road to hoe on the schedule, combined with the injuries for the Chargers. Yeah, give me that defense with Houston, and I'll take the 2.5. And like RJ points out, it's a great teaser leg as well.
Two teams that we have a lot of quarterback uncertainty and a lot of questions about whether they're going to actually get into the playoffs, which I didn't think we would even say several weeks ago. The Ravens and the Packers. I think Jordan Love is going to get cleared. I'm not a doctor, but I know that at this point of the season, they're going to do everything they can to clear him for this game. Will he go against Lamar Jackson? Will he go against Tyler Huntley? The Packers and the Ravens. RJ, I'm going to lean with the Packers because I expect Jordan Love to get cleared. Malik Willis also dealing with the shoulder injury if it has to be him, and they don't want to go to Clayton Tune with their season on the line.
Yeah, I think it's hard to play this without knowing the quarterback situations, at least on the spread. So I would lean to the under here. It could be a game with a ton of running the ball, especially if we get some backup quarterbacks in there. Green Bay does that a ton with Malik Willis on the field anyway. So, and Emmanuel Wilson, even if Josh Jacobs is hurt, has played well. So I think they keep the clock moving, keep low possession totals in this game for both sides. And it's going to be pretty hard to hit that under 40.5 because I don't know that we're going to see a ton of creativity in the red zone if we get backup quarterbacks in there. So I like to lean under 40.5 at this point.
Danny, what are you doing with this one?
Totally agree with RJ. I think there's a very real chance, and obviously speculating here, also not a doctor, but we may get Snoop Huntley versus Malik Willis in this one. And if that's the case, the market will have been right because this total opened 46.5, plummeted to 40.5. Maybe you wait on some QB news. If you get, Lamar or Love in, then that could go up to 42, 43 perhaps. Obviously, starting QB is worth a lot of points, but I think this one goes under either way. Run heavy game like RJ mentioned. Neither of these teams eliminated. So cold Green Bay game, give me the under whichever quarterbacks we get.
Brady.
I think this one is difficult, obviously, because the uncertainty with the quarterbacks. But if you get the number ones, if you get Love versus Jackson, or if you get the number twos, Willis versus Huntley, I think the spread's right on. But I'm confused at what the spread is telling us. If we get one starter and one backup, then this line's going to move quite a bit, I would imagine. So I think it's tough to speculate on what the books believe is going to happen here at the quarterback position for both teams. If it is 2.5 with both backups or both starters, then I like taking the Packers at home at less than a field goal. I mean, I thought that was just a really ugly lack of closure to the game by John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday night. Why is Derrick Henry not in the game for the last, 10 minutes and change or whatever when you have a lead and you want to rush the football and close this thing out? The Packers are always tough at home, especially this time of year. So under a field goal, if the quarterback matchup is even, either backups versus backups and starters versus starters, I'll lay the 2.5 with Green Bay.
Brady, that's funny. I thought you were going to talk about the Packers' lack of closure, not recovering an onside kick to close that game out. But we know we're going to get all-in motivation because the Packers clinch with the win. The Ravens have to win and hope the Steelers somehow lose to the Browns. So we're going to get all-in motivation there. What are we going to get from the Bengals and the Cardinals in Week 17? We saw this Bengals offense kind of remind us of what they can be. 45 points at Miami. Now they're playing a Cardinals team that has just no defense left whatsoever. I would only look at the Bengals here. This is when they tend to excel. When there's no meaning to the games anymore, they put up those video game points. I would lay it. I could only look to lay the points. RJ, what are you going to do with this one?
Yeah, I don't want to lay this many points with the Bengals defense. I don't care who they're playing, especially with a quarterback who has had some success this year. Cincinnati's had 30-plus points in 3 of 4 since Burrow's returned. Arizona's defense has allowed 40-plus in 4 of their last 7, and they lost several more key players in that game last week, just going down to injuries left and right. You see Nolan carted off, Garrett Williams carted off. I think Bengals team total over 30.5 is the way I would look. I expect the Bengals are going to score a ton. It just depends whether their defense shows up here.
Brady, what are you going to do with this meaningless but could be entertaining high-scoring game?
It feels like the knee-jerk reaction is the Cardinals getting beat at home and not covering the spread against the Atlanta Falcons, looking pathetic, really injured, as you allude to, Larry, versus the Bengals, who light up the scoreboard and put 45 points on the board, and, oh, Joe Burrow's back and everything's fine and yada, yada. And it feels like, okay, yeah, the Bengals are going to do that again. The Cardinals are going to, lay an egg again. And that has me thinking of going the other way and not necessarily taking the points with the Cardinals. But we've seen this total shoot up already. Again, I believe in reaction to what the Bengals offense can do and what their defense can't do, all the injuries. And I think I would wait. You might even see this get to 55. It's at 53.5 right now. Probably 54.5 is definitely in play. I would just wait as long as you can here, be patient, and probably play the under and just simply a contrarian move off of what we saw last week.
51.5 up to 53.5. Danny, you probably want to act now because you like points.
I do. I actually don't think you can set this total high enough. This is looking like a video game type of game. If you have players in your fantasy football Super Bowl, you're going to want players in this game because it's going to go off the charts. I think Joe Burrow, I question the move to bring him back into the starting position, off that injury, but he's doing what he said he would do, which is having fun out there. He wants to have fun playing football again, dropping 45 against the Dolphins. And on the Cardinals side, it's one of the most pass-happy teams in the NFL. Cardinals are playing at the fastest pace, fastest tempo in the NFL behind Jacoby Brissett. I cannot believe that their game last week didn't go over the total. They owe me an over. So I think, like RJ says, the Bengals are putting up a big number in this one. Cardinals do their part, and this one gets over, I think, even 59.5. I would play this up to 60+.
The Steelers go to Cleveland laying 4.5, and they could clinch the AFC North the night before if the Ravens lose. So I don't see how you can go ahead and lay the points right now, especially with DK Metcalf suspended. RJ, you going to take the points?
Taking the points also. I've already bet a Packers-Browns money line. Obviously correlated here. Got it around plus 360. I've seen it available up to plus 400. But yeah, definitely want to lock those two in because Steelers could rest players here.
Brady?
RJ makes a lot of sense there with that correlated parlay. That's a good call. I think it's a tough spot for the Steelers. You mentioned the Metcalf suspension, distraction, all of the above. Off of a huge upset win, the Steelers on the road at Detroit, and then they have Baltimore up next week. And meanwhile, a division game on the road at Cleveland, the last home game of the season for the Browns. I think they want to show up, show some pride here, and put together a respectful performance. So yeah, I could only take the points here with Cleveland.
Danny, wrap us up.
Doesn't this just feel like a Cleveland spoil spot? They're always out of contention at this point, but they live to beat these AFC North teams when they need to have these crucial games. Yeah, they're 3-12 straight up. They're 6-9 against the spread, but they're 5-2 against the spread at home. This defense, number 2 in EPA per play, one of the best in the league. It can make it ugly for the Steelers. I'll take the points.
We've got the rest of the Sunday slate coming up. Don't go anywhere. We will be back, on the Early Edge. Back on the Early Edge, running through NFL Week 17. Saints at Titans, the number 40 overall pick, Tyler Shuck, making a case for Rookie of the Year, a late charge. Ted McMillan is the only guy ahead of him against the number 1 pick, Cam Ward. Both of these young QBs playing well. Their offense is showing some hope. RJ, how are you going to play this game? I've got to take the points if you're giving me points with these two teams.
Yeah, I like the Titans at plus 3. I'll still lean that way at plus 2.5. New Orleans threw 50 times last week and featured Taysom Hill in their running game. I don't know that that's sustainable against anyone but the Jets, who, you could do anything against defensively. And Titans playing much better since the coaching change. I wouldn't have the Saints be laying 2.5 points against this team. So I would lean Titans here.
Brady?
Yeah, I'm with RJ. I'm not going to take the points, though. I think I would go play under the total. Both of these teams have pretty darn good defenses, and the Titans certainly are playing better since the switch to Mike McCoy as the interim coach. And the Saints is a road favorite. That just doesn't sound right to me. I think I'd stay under the total with this one.
Danny, you like an under as well?
Brady's onto it. When the Saints are a favorite, they're 3-0 to the under. They're 11-4 to the under this season. He's right. Their defense much improved. So is the Titans when they have a healthy Jeffrey Simmons. So yeah, I think this is an ugly game that stays under the total.
The Jaguars are the hottest team in the league, and what they're doing offensively is pretty incredible. Trevor Lawrence, 14 touchdowns accounted for the last 4 weeks without a turnover. Now you're laying a touchdown, almost a touchdown at Indy. We saw what the 49ers did to that Colts defense. The Jags look to me like they're going to put up probably a 40 burger as well. The Colts are mathematically still alive for the playoffs. If they win out, the Texans lose out, and then they get a lot of help. They could still get in. So I expect to see Phillip Rivers again, who played well, but I could only look at laying the points here. RJ, what about you?
Yeah, I like laying the points too. I think that was the last hurrah for Indy. They come out, look very good offensively, but the defense cannot get a stop. And Rivers can't last a full 3 hours playing football at this point. Seems like he tailed off late in that game. Good Jacksonville rush defense, shut down Taylor in the first meeting. I think they can do that again here. Put it all in Phillips' hands. And we saw last night that that's sustainable for a half, but probably not for a full game. So I like the Jaguars minus 6.5.
And Brady, you think a 44-year-old might not get tired at the end of 3 hours of football?
Yeah, we've already seen a little bit of money come in on the Colts. It was 7 really across the board on the Jaguars earlier this morning, and now it's pretty much all 6.5. Maybe you can still find a 7 out there, but a massive, probably the biggest win of the entire season for the Jacksonville Jaguars last week in beating the Denver Broncos at Denver. And I know the Colts is obviously a division rival, but it feels like we're getting just a little bit too carried away with this Jaguars team. Next up at the final week of the year, they play the Titans. There's no look-ahead situation there. I mean, the Jaguars are just on cruise control a little bit here. And so I think laying 7 might be just a hair too much. The market is saying that's correct right now. I don't think I'm going to bet the game, guys, but I would lean taking the 7 if you can find it with Indianapolis.
Danny, you on the Colts too?
I actually like points in this one. I lean towards the over 46.5. It's already up to 47 through a key number, but you look at the last time these teams played, 36-19 outdoors in Jacksonville. Now we go indoors in Indianapolis. The Jags offense is just rolling right now, still playing for a lot, pushing for that 1 seed. So I think they remain aggressive. So is Shane Steichen. Look how he used Phillip Rivers in that Monday night game against San Francisco. He's going pass happy. I think they keep their pedal to their foot on the pedal, I should say. And maybe we get a little Anthony Richardson in here too. I think there could be a lot of variance in this game, takeaways, which the Jaguars have done very well. That creates an over in this one.
All the Bucs do is lose, and yet they are still favored to win their division, which is kind of nuts. They have to take care of the Dolphins first. They're laying 5.5, and after what we saw from that Dolphins defense, and after what we saw from Quinn Ewers, he started well, 10 out of 12, but then it all unraveled with the 2 interceptions in the second half. Also a terrible fumble by Greg Dulcich. I could only look at laying the points here with the Bucs, even though they've been so disappointing. RJ, are you with me?
Yeah, I'm going to lean to the Bucs as well. I mean, that Dolphins effort was pretty pathetic. I think in the second half of that game, I backed them last week. I thought they'd come out better. I thought they could backdoor cover, but it all just kind of fell apart for them. Tampa Bay, finally getting healthy. I think they had all their pass catchers last week for the first time all season. They should probably round into form here against this defense. So I would lean that way, but it is a lot of points for them on the road.
Danny, can the Bucs offense kind of, wake up and be what they were early on?
They really need to, and I think they have their best opportunity here. I mean, they let Carolina swoop in and steal the division from them, so still playing for a lot. And really in this spot, I'm wondering how much effort the Dolphins play with. Mike McDaniel has been guaranteed his job, so it's not like he's playing for his security. And they looked to give up last week against the Bengals. I wonder if they're really going to play with any defensive effort. So I like the Bucs to find their offensive rhythm and win this game by a touchdown or more.
Brady, the Dolphins gave up 45 last week. The total in this game is 46.5, and you still want to go under.
I do. The Quinn Ewers project, like you said, Larry, didn't exactly have a sparkling debut. He showed that he can't really move this offense. I was really surprised last week that they didn't just lean on Devon Achane and just let him run roughshod over that Cincinnati Bengals defense. Like RJ, I thought Miami would win that game outright and certainly cover the 4. They looked fine at halftime, and then it all went for naught. And the Bucs, you guys talk about it as well. They're losing a lot of games as of late. It's really been the tale of 2 halves. The first half of the season was great. The injuries started to pile up. They haven't been so good since. This team doesn't look in sync. I don't know if either of these teams are in sync. Let's go under the total.
The New York Jets have given up 638 passing yards and 6 touchdowns in the last 2 games, and now they have to face Drake May. I don't care who got hurt for the Patriots in that great comeback win over the Ravens. The Patriots have the division in their control. They just win out. They win the AFC East, still have a shot at the number 1 seed if Denver slips up, which could happen in Week 18 against the Chargers. So with everything on the table, I would lay the 13.5 with New England. RJ, what about you?
Yeah, I know we all like the Pats. I got a little bit different by taking their team total over, but I did want to say home divisional dogs of 12.5 or more on a 9-16 against the spread run since 1997. So it's not like I expect the Jets to suddenly score a bunch of points here and cover this game. But I like the Patriots team total over 27.5. The Jets defense allowed 34 to Miami, 29 to a New Orleans offense that featured a lot of Taysom Hill, and then 48 to Jacksonville. So I think this defense is just cooked.
Danny, what do you think we get from Brady Cook?
I mean, RJ said it. That's the long and short of it. The defense is cooked. I don't know how much Brady Cook can get going in this one, but I'll lay the Patriots at pretty much any number. Lean towards them even at 13.5 because this has just been picking on little brother here. Poor Jets. This is how it goes at the end of the year. Fireman Ed's going to have a big frown on his face when the Patriots are winning this game by 30 plus. There's no way I can get to the Jets.
Brady, you didn't win the Super Contest by laying 2 touchdowns in divisional games too often. What are you doing here?
Yeah, like RJ pointed out, oftentimes it is the favorite. When you see that big number and you go, oh, I got to take the points, oftentimes it's better to lay it. Certainly in recent years in the NFL. Recent years also, the Jets have been awful in division. I think a couple of years ago they were 0 maybe they won 1 division game or covered 1 division game in the last 3 or 4 years or so. I'd have to go back and research that. But the point is, they're bad in division. The Patriots have owned them for years. And you guys kind of spelled it out. Brady, Cook, and the Jets defense. Case closed. I'll lay it with the Pats.
Coming off that incredible win that the Seahawks had over the Rams with the 2-point conversion and all the drama, they have it all in front of them. They win out, they get the #1 seed, but they have to go to Carolina. They're laying a touchdown, and I look at this Panthers team, very feisty as a home dog. Not only 5-1 ATS, they've won all 5 of those outright. So given that they won't know what Tampa is doing during this game, they won't have already seen whether the Bucs are winning. Maybe the Bucs get up, 30-7, and then Carolina realizes they should just wait for Week 18. But I think Carolina will play them tough like they usually do at home. RJ, what about you?
Yeah, I think Panthers are the way to lean, especially if you can look at 7.5. I'm going with the under. Seattle's defense was playing at an elite level before that Rams game, and we know how good the Rams offense is. Carolina's offense hit or miss all year. You don't really know what to expect from them week to week. And Carolina's defense, though, solid at generating interceptions, kind of playing better the second half of the season. And we know Darnold can fall apart at any moment. So I think he can help keep this game in the 30s. I'm going to lean to the under.
Danny, what about you?
I agree with RJ's sentiment. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so I'll take the +7.5 that I see is now popping up on the market. Obviously, I'm concerned about Bryce Young against the Seahawks defense, but on the other side of the ball, I think the Panthers defense can do enough to limit Sam Darnold, to put him in some trouble. J.C. Horn getting the Pro Bowl selection earlier today, very deserved. He can take the ball away, and all of a sudden, Darnold is a liability. He went from one of the best QBs in the league to someone that they're, I think, looking to hide a little bit. That run game, if it can't get going, then Darnold could be in some trouble in this one. It's a big number in a raucous Carolina environment. All of a sudden, that's a pretty good home field advantage to have. I like the Panthers getting 7 and the hook.
Brady, you found a pretty smart way to play this one.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you guys taking that 7.5, and there are still some 7s in the market. So it going to 7.5 tells me that there is some love for Seattle out there. The Seattle defense is very good against the rush, and if Carolina can't run the ball, I think that makes life very difficult for their offense. Also, Seattle's been outstanding on the road back east this year, 4-1 against the number with victories and straight up and against the spread against the Steelers, Jaguars, Commanders, and Falcons. They're also off of extra rest here. Carolina off of that huge upset win as a home underdog. And oh, by the way, they have Tampa Bay again next week. I think it's a good spot for Seattle. And I'm with you guys. I don't want to lay the full 7 or 7.5. I'll tease them down to 1 or 1.5. I think they can find a way to just win this game.
When we come back, we're going to take a look at the 4 p.m. slate, which, because it is Week 17, there is a quirk that we only have 2 4 o'clock games. We'll get into them when we come back. Giants and Raiders for the #1 overall pick is one of 2 4 p.m. Eastern games, but I actually like this game. I like the Raiders. I mean, Geno Smith came back. He played excellent against the league's top pass defense. Ashton Genty had a breakout game. Now he's facing the worst run defense in the NFL. Giants had 13 net passing yards. I don't think Pete Carroll is going to tank, especially because he might be out the door. I'm going to play the Raiders on the money line. RJ, what are you doing with this horrible game?
I hate the Raiders. I play them and they don't show up at all. I fade them and they kick meaningless field goals to cover. Just a team I do not want to play anything against. I like the over here. 9 straight Giants games, got to 44 before last week. I walk into any game with these two defenses expecting them to each give up 20. So a total of 42 is something I got to like the over on.
Danny?
Absolutely agree. This is a game that's going to piss both fans of these franchises off so much because you're going to want them to lose and they're going to be playing hard and putting up points. I don't think Carroll's going to tank whatsoever. I think he's going to play aggressively. You mentioned it. Giants run defense can't stop a nosebleed. So look for Ashton Genty to go for 100 plus and then to run all over. And I think you see a much better effort here from Jackson Dart, looking to get rhythm. Maybe Mike Kafka trying to, still win that starting job. These teams are going to put up some points. I think it goes over the total.
Brady, you're going to walk down the street and take this game in person, I hear.
I don't know if I can stand the stench. Which team is less dysfunctional? That's who you should put your money on here. You guys said it. The New York Giant defense is awful. The Raiders defense is actually, probably average, if not slightly above average. That's probably the best part of their season so far, if you can say anything's a positive out of this Raiders season. But yeah, I'd lay the points with the silver and black here. I think they win this game because of the better defense, and really that's about it. I think Ashton Genty should have another big afternoon.
Well, opposite this, we do get the Eagles and the Bills. Very interesting game because the Bills still have a chance at the AFC East. The Eagles still have a chance to move up in their seed, even though they've clinched the division. Looks like Jalen Carter's back. Looks like Lane Johnson is back. We've seen the Eagles take some money. I would lean that way as well. RJ, what about you as the resident Buffalo fan?
I'm going to lean to the Bills here. I wonder how much the Eagles starters will play, though, even if those guys come back with the 1 seed out of reach. Do you want to get somebody hurt in what probably is more or less a meaningless game? And the Philly defense can struggle against the run, and we know that's how Buffalo's finding success offensively at this point. So I think Buffalo runs the ball a ton and wins this game by probably 3-7.
And Brady, this is part of your teaser that you had earlier with the Seahawks. Now give me the second leg.
Yeah, the Eagles plus 8.5. And I love that RJ thinks it's Buffalo by 3-7, that we can both win here. I think the Buffalo offense versus the Philadelphia defense is about a wash. But we all know that Buffalo run defense is really non-existent. So I think Saquon Barkley could have a good game here. The world champs aren't going to necessarily just lay down because it's a meaningless game or what have you. I think they can absolutely stay within 8.5. So in addition to the Seahawks down to -1, I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles up to plus 8.5.
And after struggling to run the ball, 5 yards per carry is what Philly has done the last 4 weeks. Danny, what do you think about this one?
That's right. I had trouble picking a side, so I went to player props. I really like what their rush attack is doing behind Saquon Barkley, getting 20-plus carries in 3 straight games, really starting to rack up the yards. And you mentioned it, Lane Johnson is back. The Eagles go as he goes. And with him in the lineup, since they drafted him in 2013, 122, 62, and 1. Without him, 15 and 25. Massive impact on the game behind, of course, the game plan that Philly always wants to run behind, which is control possession behind Saquon Barkley. I think he gets going for over 86.5 rush yards in this game. It's a big number, but against the Buffalo run defense that is just very vulnerable on the ground, this is a good prop to play in this matchup.
We've got a great Sunday night matchup with the Bears and 49ers, the Rams and the Falcons on Monday night. We're going to get to all of that, plus our best bets coming up on the Early Edge. Sunday night football, the 49ers laying a field goal against the Bears. Nice rest advantage for the Bears, who played on a Saturday. The Niners play on a Monday and have to turn around and play this game with a 2-day disadvantage. I would look at taking the full field goal and maybe some Bears receiver props after what we saw Phillip Rivers and the Colts do to this 49ers defense. Of course, there was nothing wrong with that San Fran offense, RJ.
Yeah, that's why I'm leaning to the over. They've 5-2 to the over in San Francisco's last 7 games with the defensive struggles and the San Francisco offense finally getting pretty healthy and going off there. Chicago's also given up 27 plus 6 times this year. I think it's a tough spot for them to have a good game on the road against a hot offense.
Danny, you also like the 49ers offense to do some business.
That's why I'm taking the -3 in this spot. I just think they can hang a number that the Bears might not be able to keep up with. This is also a classic East Coast, West Coast night game body clock spot. The Bears traveling there. Of course, the rest advantage goes to Chicago, but I always like the East Coast team traveling for the primetime game at night to the West Coast, taking the West Coast team, getting a field goal or less. Historically, it's been a pretty good spot. And like RJ mentioned, I mean, this Bears defense has been giving up a lot of points. They're very reliant on takeaways. And even when Brock Purdy has thrown interceptions, 3 against the Panthers, they were still able to cover, bigger numbers. So this offense is so potent that it can overcome turnovers. And if the Bears can't have multiple in this game, I think the Niners run away with it.
Brady, you believe in Kyle Shanahan as well in this spot?
I do. I think Danny really nailed it. The Niners, other than that one Brock Purdy game, when they still won and covered, they don't turn it over on offense too often. And the Bears defense has so much success really throughout this season because they're forcing turnovers. When they don't force turnovers, they're a pretty lousy unit. They give up all kinds of yards in the air and on the ground. If you look at their last few games, when they play good teams, the Steelers, the Eagles, and the Packers twice, there's basically no turnover margin there. They had the one game at home against Cleveland where they intercepted Shadur Sanders 3 times. Other than that, they haven't been getting the turnovers, and we've seen that defense exposed. I think San Francisco gets them and will lay the points.
And 49ers control their own destiny for the number 1 seed. The Bears also still have a shot at the number 1 seed if things break their way. A team that gave up their destiny for the number 1 seed, the LA Rams, going to Atlanta on Monday Night Football, laying over a touchdown against Raheem Morris, their defensive coordinator, who helped them win a Super Bowl. A feisty Atlanta team that has won 2 straight after underachieving the entire season. I could only look at the points here with the Rams. Basically their hopes of that number 1 seed in the bye almost devastated at this point. I could only look at the points. RJ, what about you?
Yeah, I really like the Rams. Heading into this, they were my best bet. I backed off of it a little bit because if San Francisco and Seattle both win, and I think they will, Rams only are locked into the wild card at that point. Do they care about seeding? Sean McVay, I think in the past has shown he really doesn't. So I think that they might sit some guys here, and I don't want to be laying 8 with a team that's sitting starters, at any point in this game. So I'm just going to lean to the Rams right now.
Brady?
I'm with you guys as far as not being able to trust the Falcons. And the Rams number is really big. I think it's inflated because of what we know about the Atlanta Falcons, and also what we know about the Rams as maybe the very best team in football. But they have the situation that RJ talked about where this game could possibly not matter. You also have some distractions for Puka Nacua on and off the field. I could only take the points here with the Falcons +8, +8.5. But boy, it's only a lean, Larry, because this team has been my kryptonite all season long. If I'm on them, they lose. If I'm against them, they win. It would be very lightly on the Falcons here with a lean.
Danny, wrap us up quick.
Well, Brady said it. Puka's got to get out of this heinous stream culture nonsense that is distracting him. But I like the Rams to hang a crooked number as well that the Falcons can't keep up with. You look at their last 5, 34 points, 28, 45, 41, 38. This Rams team just can go off. They're coming off a revenge game where they lost in overtime. They may have some seeding concerns if those games play out in unfavorable fashion, but I still think they blow away the Falcons in this one.
Best bets for Week 17 coming up. First, we'll take a quick look at the recap. Not a good one for me personally. Claudia still pacing us right now, and we do have best bets from Will and Claudia. Will is going with the Jags Colts over 47.5. Claudia is taking a teaser. Lions pick 'em. Cowboys -1. I'm going with the Raiders. They burned me last week at Houston, but I think Geno Smith being back, playing good football against this Giants team that cannot stop the run. I like the Raiders on the money line as my best bet. And RJ, what are you doing in the best bet section?
I'm taking the Patriots team total over 27.5. Jets defense gives up this number against mediocre offenses, and New England I think is better than that. With the quarterback making an MVP push, going to want to put up a big performance here, and New England should want to start hot in this game. So I think we're going to get close to this probably by even halftime.
Danny, you got a plus money play for your best bet.
I got to roll with the Texans money line. It's late in the season, playoff implications on the line. Give me the best defense in the league against the Chargers offensive line that is straight up in shambles. I think that they can control this game at the line of scrimmage. Give me the Texans to win this one outright.
Brady, you got your teaser. Remind us quickly what that teaser is.
Yeah, the Seahawks down to -1 or 1.5, and the Philadelphia Eagles up to +8 or +8.5. You've got two very good teams and teasing them through a number of key numbers. So I'll take the Eagles and the Seahawks in a 6 or 6.5 point teaser.
Let's have a 6-0 week on these best bets and turn things around, at least personally. Thank you guys for joining me on the NFL Best Bets Week 17 Early Edge Show. We will see you next time on CBS Sports Network with the regular crew back next week. Thank you very much.